Gervonta Davis smokes Ryan Garcia. Let me tell you how.
I feel you in my blood.
On April 22nd, Ryan Garcia is going to take on Tank Davis on Showtime pay-per-view in the biggest boxing match since the Deontay Wilder-Tyson Fury trilogy. This is a fight that's been years in the making, and we're finally going to get to see it live, something that it seems like never happens in boxing anymore. But what's really going to happen on April 22nd? First, let's talk about the favorite, Tank Davis. The Baltimore native is a tricky southpaw who excels in the brawling style and has knocked out 26 of his 28 wins, never facing defeat. As a 130-pounder, he was the king of the super featherweights and was really almost never tested. Everyone who came his way was ran through, and now he's come up to the 35 division, the best in boxing today. He's been doing all right for himself now, but is looking for that true test, although he does hold one of the belts, Devin Haney, the dominant super champ, taking all the rest. If he gets past Ryan Garcia, Devin Haney is the next logical step, and that fight will be almost as big as this one. Tank very much shines in the later rounds, where he's able to just outwheel you, set his own tempo, and decide where the fight happens, landing his money power shots which almost nobody can survive. His last performance versus Hector Garcia, a fellow champion, put the world on notice, where despite not scoring a knockdown, he was able to blind his opponent with a look, and Garcia was not able to see it until well after the fight ended.
I didn't know where I was. I mean, when he hit me with that shot, my head still hurts. My vision is back, but that's what happened. I didn't know where I was. I couldn't see from the right eye.
Shots like that are what have gained him so much popularity and will give him the notoriety to be considered one of the best boxers alive. But what about his opponent? Let's talk about the kid. Ryan Garcia is one of the most exciting young names in boxing, and it's refreshing to see someone take the promotion into their own hands for once, as it seems like nowadays everybody either wants to go way too far left with the trash talking or way too far right with just, oh, you know, I'm happy to be here, I'm grateful for the opportunity, let's make it happen. Ryan doesn't fall into either lane and promotes himself in an incredible way, and is also quite a damn good boxer. He has a sizable height and reach advantage over pretty much anyone he faces, and compounded with one of the best left hooks in the entire sport, it makes Ryan Garcia a very fun and interesting fighter to watch. He's also quite the knockout artist himself, 19 of 23 of his wins coming that way. But the sad reality with Ryan is, he's still a prospect. His only real notable challenge has been against Luke Campbell, which he passed with flying colors, but still, he hasn't proven himself to the same level as the rest of his competitors in this division, like Devin Haney, like Camboa. So when it comes to the experience, Gervonta obviously has the advantage. But let's talk about the other factors. The most common complaint coming from Tank naysayers is about the weight. 136 pounds is the set weight, and then there will be a 10-pound rehydration clause, meaning that Ryan Garcia can only come in at 146 pounds at his designated weigh-in. While many fans and Garcia himself are making this out to seem like a huge talking point and something that everyone should pay attention to, and that Gervonta Davis has to have it his way, that's just simply not true. When you look at the facts, Ryan Garcia has spent most of his career fighting at 130 and 135, around the same weight class as Gervonta Davis has spent his, except Gervonta was the champion in both of those divisions. The reality is, this is a fair weight for both of them to meet at, and regardless of your opinion on rehydration clauses, it's a part of the sport, and it's something that almost every super fight outside of heavyweight has to deal with. But that's not the only misinformation Ryan's spreading. Let's talk about what he said on Logan Paul's Impulsive podcast. He went on to say that Gervonta Davis doesn't really have that knockout power that everyone acts like he does, because he brings up people from smaller weight classes and knocks them out at his own weight. And when I heard this, I got really interested, and I went to look into it myself, because why has nobody else brought this up? That's really interesting. Nobody else brought it up because it's just not true. The only person who Gervonta Davis has brought up in weight was his last fight in Hector Garcia, who was a very, very formidable opponent and a champion in himself. But when you look at the rest of his resume, everyone was fighting at equal weights, they all fought at their normal weight classes. Not only was he not bringing other people up in weight and just knocking them out by being bigger than them, he went up to 140 to fight Mario Barrios, a fighter very similar to Garcia stylistically and size-wise. Barrios is 5'10 with a 71-inch reach, Garcia 5'11 with a 70-inch reach. They're both flat-footed, long fighters who rely heavily on their lead hook and jab. Garcia went up to 140 pounds to fight a much bigger man and was able to flatline him in the 9th round.
But, oh my! Gervonta Tank Davis brought his power to 140!
Garcia has shown to be able to knock out people bigger than him, and Ryan Garcia is no exception. We've seen him get dropped, and although he responded very well to that, Gervonta is simply different. He can handle the weight, he can handle any style, and I believe he will run through Ryan Garcia. But let's talk about how Ryan can win. Gervonta Davis is a very slow starter, so Ryan should be able to capitalize on that and win the early rounds, specifically the first 3. We've all heard of Usyk, how he wins the first 3 and the last 3 rounds, and that makes it pretty much impossible to beat him by decision. That's the kind of approach Ryan needs here. But Ryan also needs to counter effectively and use his jab at range. He cannot get into a scrap with Gervonta Davis because there's simply no way he can win that. But how will this fight actually go? Well, Ryan's going to win the first few rounds because that's how Gervonta Davis fights. Eventually, probably around 4, Gervonta Davis will catch him once and start to find his rhythm. They'll split the next couple rounds, but as the fight drags on, Gervonta Davis is going to do what he does to everybody. Make the fight happen at his pace, turn it into a brawl, get on the inside, and land the finishing blow on Ryan. Many people try to question Ryan's heart, love for the game, and skill because of his celebrity presence, but that's simply not true. He loves the game, he has the heart of a lion, but when you're getting caught time and time again by a guy who's simply just a better scrapper than you, you're going to fall. And that's what this fight will show us. The better fighter, not the better boxer, not the better talker, but the better fighter is going to come out on top and finish the job. But what do you guys think? Am I just a Gervonta Davis fanboy? Am I just a Ryan Garcia hater? Or am I spitting facts? Let me know, and let's just all be happy to enjoy such a great pay-per-view for once in this sport.